Pan's Labyrinth is a deeply touching film that explores the ramifications of fascism through the eyes of a little girl. And it tells all of this through the story setting of dark fantasy. Released in 2006 by Guillermo del Toro, it is one of my favorite political dark fantasy films of all time. The movie starts with a young girl bleeding out on the ground. As the camera pans, we see time reverse and the blood flow back into her body. We are then told about a magical underground city, a city with no lies, no pain. And from this city, a princess escaped to the surface, having her memory erased by the sun, and that her father hoped that one day her soul would return. This was an amazing opening to the film. It primes us as the viewer to wonder why this young girl is bleeding out on the ground, and it shows us her relationship with fantasy that we will soon discover. The use of lighting and color is amazing as well. It shows us the cold, dark underground, which contrasts perfectly with the light and warmth of the sun, the same sun that, ironically, took away her memory and caused her to succumb to cold and sickness. We then see the camera transition into showing us a caravan of cars. These cars are carrying Ophelia and their pregnant mother. They are escorted by men in military uniforms, as a bug-shaped creature that only Ophelia can see follows them. As they are greeted into this camp, it is obvious these are fascists, and all around, to put bluntly, not very good people at all. All throughout the movie, we see constant fighting with them and the rebels. This is shown here and there, but the movie primarily focuses on Ophelia as she gets lost more and more in a fantasy world. It starts by her being led by the bug that she calls a fairy into meeting a strange creature. He gives her a quest if she completes, she can make it into the magical underground city. As she gets closer to completing the quest, the fascists and the rebels are fighting more and more, and the world around her is getting more dangerous. The climax of the movie happens right after her mother dies in childbirth. She decides to steal her baby brother away from the fascist captain and take him to the magical underground city that she did all the quests to get to. Now, this is a 2-hour movie, and I'm glossing over quite a bit here, but the main reason I wanted to make this review was to review one scene. It starts as Ophelia takes her brother and runs into a labyrinth of rock walls. The lighting is dark and dismal. The fascist captain, Vadil, chases after them, disfigured from being stabbed and his cheek sliced open. Reality and fantasy begin to merge for Ophelia. Walls shift and open for her. It is incredibly dark, which is unusual, as the fantasy scenes previously had lighting that was bright, and it distinguished it from reality. That barrier being gone makes it incredibly compelling, and truly like we are in the mind of Ophelia as viewers. She finally makes it to the center of the labyrinth. She meets the creature that was giving her the quests and promised her a way into the underground city. She was told it would only take a drop of her blood, but now he asks for the blood of her baby brother. She denies it, and as she does, Vidal, the fascist captain, comes up behind her and grabs her baby brother. As she yells no at him, he shoots her. As he leaves the labyrinth with the child in hand, he gets surrounded by rebels. He hands over the child. He knows he's going to die. He takes out his pocket watch. It was broken, the time showing the exact moment his father died, his father's legacy. As he takes out the broken watch, he asks them to tell his son what time his father died, which in response, one of them says, "He won't even know your name," and as a shocked look spreads across Vidal's face, he gets shot. This scene is incredible. The pocket watch not only represents Vidal's legacy, it also represents fascism's legacy as a whole, and it represents the destruction of that legacy. But now we go back to Ophelia. She's on the ground, bleeding out. The exact same scene from the start of the movie. The world is then encased in light, and she gets up in what looks like a church. Everything is incredibly bright and covered in gold. The soul of the princess has returned. The final scene of the entire movie is a single bud flowering. Now, I would highly recommend to go watch the movie. There's a lot I did not mention. An eye monster that is incredibly iconic, the amazing fight direction that feels visceral and violent, but that would take hours upon hours to talk about, and I don't have that time, so I would like to wish anyone watching a good farewell.